Hello and welcome to another edition of Hit the Pacecar Championship Week right here with the Pacecar boys, of course, as always, joined by Corey and Tyler. Tyler, you saved the most bomb outfit for the very end of the season. I don't know what you think this is, man's old team. Bruh, guess what? Guess what? Homestead's next year. You're wearing them Homestead Miami colors right there. I know it's a Phoenix Raceway baseball getup, but that's Miami. It's Miami colors right there you're wearing.
Let's be real. If it was Dolphin colors, I'd kill myself. This is good old Phoenix and Chase Hooter colors. Let's be real.
Yeah, there's already a really bad team that's in Phoenix. We don't got to worry about the bad team in Miami, and that leads me to Corey. Corey, is Kyler done? Jacoby Brissett, the new starting quarterback of the Cardinals. Is that what we're doing?
I think you made a mistake. You said there's a bad team. I don't think there's a good team. Dude.
Oh wow, that's
no,
crazy.
I'm kidding. But
that hockey
Kyler's
team's
here
pretty
to
good.
stay.
I was
Yeah,
going to
Utah.
say, Jacoby Brissett is a Patriot for life, just so you know. So you
Jacoby
better hope
Brissett.
he's your starter.
I think the people from Indianapolis might argue that. But yeah, it's struggle city in Arizona and Phoenix for sports teams for sure. But one thing that is going on in Phoenix that should be successful, and there will be a champion in Phoenix. 3 champions actually in Phoenix this weekend, but they won't be any of those sports teams we just talked about. We will have a Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and Cup Series champion this weekend, crowned in Avondale, Arizona for Phoenix Raceway. But before we talk about Phoenix Raceway, we do need to talk about what happened in the semifinals, as I would like to call it, at Martinsville Speedway. We had the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series battling it out for a spot in the Championship 4. And we had kind of a big upset from the get-go in the Truck Series race. The upset wasn't the winner because we had Corey Heim win. That's 11 wins on the season. One of the most dominating seasons in the history of motorsports, I would say. Just putting on a clinic, just by far, just amazing. We talk about him every single week. It's always Heim time in the Craftsman Truck Series, and it was Heim time in Martinsville this past weekend. But the big upset was Lane Riggs getting eliminated from the playoffs. Was kind of just in Corey Heim's shadow this season. He would have had probably a shitload of wins this season if Corey Heim wasn't racing, if we're being honest. Would have won a whole bunch of races. Still won a good amount of races and was very competitive all season, but to not see him in the Championship 4 is definitely quite surprising. A lot of people look back to the Roval and what happened there, and that's probably why he ended up getting eliminated. Made a lot of mistakes, I would say, at Martinsville as well. Drove kind of drove similar to the way he drove when he first got into the Truck Series, just overly aggressive, doing way too much, but had a lot more speed than when he first joined the Truck Series. Becomes just short of making the Championship 4. And I want to talk to both y'all about this. Lane Riggs missing the Championship 4 and Heim time. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what to say. I can't. There's nothing else that I haven't said a million times at this point about Heim time. The kid is special. Get him in a great car in the Cup Series, in the Xfinity Series. Sounds like he's going part-time and not running for any sort of championship next year, which is bullshit. But give me your thoughts on, I'll go start with you, Tyler. What's your thoughts on Heim time, and then, of course, Lane Riggs missing the Championship 4?
I mean, Heim time, absolutely guarantee, right? Like, we almost all knew that he was going to win another one before he got to the championship. So let's be real there. That dude can drive and drive again. But Lane Riggs missing the championship, insane. Absolutely bullshit. Heim time better be kissing bricks, because that is going to be the only reason that he has no competition on Saturday or on Friday night. Like, there's no way that anybody else has anything for anything.
Tyler Ankrum,
besides
though.
Lane Riggs. So, suck it this year. Like, seriously, like, there's no room for him.
He's a farmer.
It was either Riggs or Heim. Yeah, his tractor ain't moving today.
Ah, damn, that's messed up. Man said it ain't a John Deere. It's not a John Deere.
Ain't a John Deere.
Cool.
So like Lane Riggs being out though,
Yeah.
insane. He's so lucky.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Lane Riggs is. I heard he got a multi-year extension with Front Row Motorsports. If I read that correctly, yeah, he's going to be competing for the Truck Championship next year, especially since it sounds like Corey Heim most likely isn't racing full time in the trucks next year. So Lane Riggs is definitely going to compete for a championship. I remember last year he struggled a good portion of the season. Right when the playoffs started, he missed the playoffs last year. Right when the playoffs started, all of a sudden he put it on and just was killing it every single week. I remember winning at Bristol, and just he's been killing it ever since. And if Corey Heim wasn't racing, he would have a whole bunch of wins. He'd be dislocating his shoulder every week. I should know. I've dislocated my shoulder a couple dozen times probably. Corey, what are your thoughts on Heim Time getting another win and Lane Riggs, Scott Riggs' boy, missing the championship for?
Man, well, I mean, we can go over the Heim Time spot or stuff real quickly. Deserved. Best racer in the Truck Series. Should have a full-time Cup ride. All that. We say that every week. Lane Riggs not making it to the Final Four sucks. Raja Caruth not making it to the Final Four sucks because I was hopeful he'd make it, and he had a pretty good point advantage going into it, but got wrecked early. But the only thing I will say is with what Tyler said, I kind of disagree because Ty Majeski is really good at Phoenix, and it almost seems like a perfect storm to show why this point system is so shit if Majeski steals the championship by winning at his best track. And we all feel bad for Corey Heim times 10.
Yeah, I'm pretty scared for Heim Time myself. I'm very worried about it. I'm worried about him not getting a much-deserved Craftsman Truck Series championship because he has completely dominated the Truck Series, just put on a clinic all year long, and especially to have him lose to one of these three, and that's no offense to Ankrum or Honeycutt or, of course, Ty Majeski, last year's champion, looking to go back-to-back. But you combine all those drivers together, they have one win. You combine all those drivers together, they have one win on the whole season. And I'm a big supporter of Caden Honeycutt. Caden Honeycutt, a hell of a race car driver. Tyler Ankrum, I love Tyler Ankrum. He's a big-time blue-collar guy. He's an old-fashioned sort of racer in today's day and age. He's a freaking farmer. And then Ty Majeski, I love Ty Majeski. He's a short-track racer who's raced so hard his whole life, and it's kind of a comeback story after struggling with Roush for so many years. But let's be completely honest, none of them hold anything to Corey Heim. Corey Heim is all the way he's off camera. He's so high up, he's off camera. These guys are right here, and I love those guys, and they're great race car drivers. But Corey Heim is special, and he's put on one of the greatest seasons in the history of motorsports, I would say. Not just NASCAR, but history of motorsports. Just a complete domination of a season. Almost reminds me of your freaking Patriots going undefeated. Just like that sort of domination. And then to have them lose to the Giants in the Super Bowl. Like, that's what we could be facing here. And Mamba Smith would be hyped about it. He'd be like, that's sports right there. Mamba would be hyped about that. Yeah, Mamba would be real... He'd be real hyped about that. He's like, Tyler Ankrum, Truck Series champion. That's sports right there. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on Lane Riggs missing out on the championship 4 and Heim Time getting win number 11. Maybe the clock strikes midnight and he gets win number 12 in the championship. Let me know your thoughts.
He didn't shine when the lights were the brightest, man.
He didn't
shine when the lights were the brightest.
He didn't. Did not shine when the lights were the brightest at all. And that's Mamba's point, and I get the point. I definitely understand the point. And it's just motorsports is a lot different than other sports because the drivers that are no longer competing for the championship are still on the track. They're still out there. It's like if the Browns had to compete. It's like if the Steelers had to compete in the Super Bowl and the Browns were still around fucking with them. Like that's pretty much what it is right there. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on Heim Time and Lane Riggs and Martinsville and your thoughts of the Truck Series race. All right. let's move on to the Xfinity Series race. We do have actually a couple of things to talk about. This is out of the 3 races, this is the one we'll probably talk the most about, just because the antics that happened at the end of this race, which seems to happen almost at the end of every single Xfinity Series race at Martinsville for some reason. Even though the end of this race wasn't crazy like we've seen in the past, definitely a very calm ending compared to what we usually have at Martinsville in the Xfinity Series. And one driver that was very ecstatic about that, because he's gotten taken out of winning position in his last 2 races at Martinsville, once in the Xfinity Series, once in the Truck Series, and that is Taylor Gray finally getting his first NASCAR National Series victory, winning in the Xfinity Series at Martinsville. I'm real happy for the kid. He's very talented. I found it kind of funny also that Ty Gibbs got his first win as an owner before he got his first win as a Cup Series driver. Ty Gibbs, Xfinity Series winning owner at this point, which is kind of interesting. Taylor Gray has had a great season. Probably should have gotten his first win a long time ago, and he's going to compete for the Xfinity Series championship next year, in my opinion. Just a great race once again. I think he was really figuring out his car throughout the day. Didn't really have a dominating performance, I would say. I really thought his teammate, Eric Almirola, was going to get the victory. He ended up, Taylor Gray just really put it on at the end of this thing and got the victory. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Taylor Gray? I know you've kind of kept along with Taylor Gray a little bit. I personally wanted, in the spring, I wanted him to walk down the front stretch and punch Sammy Smith in the face. If we're being honest, I wanted him to do that. And he took a very mature approach. To very mature young man, as some people would say. Very mature approach from Taylor Gray, and ends up coming back around, and he gets the victory in the fall race. What are your thoughts on Taylor Gray finally getting this first win?
It's cool to see a good old American boy just win it. Like, he's good old fashioned, just American. And it's awesome to see it's awesome to see a guy like that just pull it off. I mean, I don't know how I feel about Ty Gibbs owning his car, but whatever. That's fine. I guess. But no, like you said, he's going to be competing for a championship next year. He's been taken out of a lot of races this year over some just straight bad racing. So hopefully next year that gets cleaned up a little bit. A lot of drivers, it seems, are going to be on the plank if they don't figure it out. It doesn't seem like owners are too fond of what's been going on. So hopefully they get figured out next year and he can compete a little bit more without having to worry about getting taken out for nothing.
Yeah, I don't think he's usually not the one causing the trouble. He's usually the one caught up in the trouble, and is just a very mature driver. Definitely has a lot of skill. I wouldn't say he has like pure raw speed like some of these other young guys, like a Carson Hocevar or like a Connor Zilic, that just have pure raw speed. But he's very smart. He seems like he potentially has a better racing IQ than those guys, but just not quite as much speed. Just a really smart, mature driver, and finally gets that first victory. Corey, what are your thoughts on Taylor Gray, the younger Gray brother, finally getting that first career Xfinity Series win?
I was happy for him, especially when you think about what happened last year at earlier this year at Martinsville. It was almost a deja vu moment. It could have happened again, but I think the talk the morning of led to them racing clean this time, potentially. So, but no, I'm happy for him. I think anytime a driver gets a first win, we're all like, awesome, like it's good to see. Everyone loves to see young drivers dominate and someone dominate, but it's good to see when drivers get their first win, because it's like it affirms to them and to the fans that, hey, they belong here, they can do this. So no, I was happy. It was awesome to see him get his first win, especially what happened earlier this year.
Yeah, just the last 2 times he's been at Martinsville, should have won both races. I can't remember who moved him out of the way in that Truck Series race in the fall of last year, around 1 year ago from this point. But to get moved out of the way in 2 straight Martinsville races, then come back and finally getting that first victory in a big race where a lot of drivers are trying to win and lock themselves into the championship 4 as well, is a really, really big moment for Taylor Gray, and a moment he'll remember for the rest of his life. And I definitely think he's going to be competing for a championship next year. Very talented driver, very smart driver. Finally getting that first win, Taylor Gray. Let me know your thoughts in the comments about Taylor Gray finally getting career win number 1 in the Xfinity Series. All right, let's talk about the other story, probably the primary story, the thing that most people are talking about after that Xfinity Series race at Martinsville, and that was Sam Mayer versus Jeb Burton. These two were going back and forth all race long, and at the end of the race, it sounded like Jeb Burton knocked Sam Mayer up the racetrack and took, I think it was 6th at the end of the race, and then right after the checkered flag going into turns 1 and 2, Sam Mayer just cleans Jeb Burton out, completely takes him out, wrecks him after the finish, and then Sam Mayer ends up getting suspended for the season finale. So we won't see Sam Mayer racing in NASCAR again until Daytona in February, which is pretty crazy. So 1 race suspension, but we won't see him until Daytona of next year. And he almost made the championship 4. Imagine if he made the championship 4 and then he pulled that. I don't know how they would have worked that. They probably would have figured out a way to put Jeff Gordon in the championship 4. Knowing how NASCAR works, they would have figured out a way. Put Jeff Gordon in the championship 4 right there. Some of you insiders and big fans know exactly what I'm talking about. But I just this is a dumb move by Sam Mayer, and I love Sam Mayer. I've met Sam Mayer a bunch of times at this point. Real nice guy, but we've seen him do this on the track many times. One of those raw speed guys that I was talking about earlier, but I think he's very reckless, but he's not. It's a different type of reckless than someone like a Carson Hocevar. Carson Hocevar, some people like to call him the Hurricane. I don't like it, but I see why they try to call him that. I don't like the nickname. I think it's stupid. I think it's a stupid nickname, the Hurricane. But I see why they call him the Hurricane, because he's a freaking kamikaze. Like kamikaze Carson, I think is better. But kamikaze, he's like a kamikaze just coming through the field and just takes out people just because of his raw speed and not really caring. Sam Mayer, when he's taking out somebody, most of the time it's intentional. Most of the time he knows what he's doing. He's just choosing to do that. And we've seen a lot of drivers do that. He's not necessarily a kamikaze like Carson. Like Carson Hocevar is a battering ram going through the field sometimes. Sam Mayer, sometimes he doesn't think and just takes somebody out. And that's what we saw with Jeb Burton. He ends up getting suspended for the season finale. And I want to get both your thoughts on this. I guess I'll start with you, Corey, on this one. What are your thoughts on Sam Mayer pulling this move? Is the suspension deserving? What do you think about all this?
Man, where do I start with this one? I think the early race incident that got Jeb Burton irritated is understandable, but at the same time, I don't know. I think of Jeb Burton in that veteran role where he just needs to grow up and not throw a temper tantrum on the radio and go after a playoff driver. That's one part of the argument. Not going to justify anything Sam did, but I don't know. Seeing a young kid or a young guy in the sport be like that angry and go take it out and move and race a playoff driver hard, that I understand. But like a veteran just getting that upset after one push at Martinsville, I'm like, okay, calm down, dude. But yeah, that incident after the race is very disappointing because I know we've met Sam Mayer. I've been talking about how Sam Mayer's been Mr. Consistent, not talked about enough. 3rd place, like every race almost. He's always 3rd. They just don't talk about him because he's not battling for the lead. And then, like, any chance he wanted to have a cup ride in the next 2 or 3 years, he just took a huge step back. Like, this is exactly what Sunday avoids, this type of stuff. You know, Carson Hocevar is the only one I've seen actually get a shot, and it was because of raw talent. And I don't know, it's disappointing because he's one of the best drivers on Saturday, and to see that incident, which meant nothing in the end, get him suspended, and then also take a huge career impact for him. It just sucks to see. That's the biggest impact I got from it. Yeah, the suspension's deserved. Like, you don't wreck somebody after the race.
Yeah.
But it just sucks to see. It's just a shitty scenario.
Yeah, and that's why one of the main reasons why a lot of people point to why Sam Mayer isn't over at Junior Motorsports anymore is just because of the way he treats equipment, and I think he's gotten a lot better with that. I haven't seen Sam Mayer, and I'm gonna give him credit right now. I'm gonna give him some flowers right now. I haven't seen Sam Mayer do something like this in quite a while, but I do understand a lot of pressure. Semifinal race, trying to get into the championship four, trying to be the representative for not just Haas but for Ford as well. A lot of pressure on that, and he's been trying to get a Cup Series ride. I understand all of that for sure, so I try my best to give him the benefit of the doubt on this, but you can't be wrecking people after the checkered flag. I definitely think the suspension is warranted, especially with his history. Maybe not necessarily recent history, but history nonetheless. We still judge drivers like Ty Gibbs and all these drivers that have had a deep history, even if they stay out of trouble for quite a while, because they've done a lot of trouble. They've caused a lot of trouble. And like I said, that's one of the reasons why Mayer ended up not being at Junior Motorsports anymore, is because of his treatment of equipment and these sort of moments. And I think that was definitely a wake up call, and I think he's improved on that for sure. And really just let the pressure get the best of him in a very bad situation, a stressful situation that he dealt with all day with Jeb Burton. Ended up getting himself suspended, taking out Jeb, Ward Burton's boy, who I'm not surprised at all for Jeb to approach it like that is all at all. First of all, being Ward Burton's kid, Ward Burton was a respectful but very aggressive race car driver in his time, and if you mess with him, he was gonna mess back for sure. And then with the way the current status of NASCAR racing is, I understand Jeb doing that as well for sure, being Martinsville and everything. And probably saw the way Sam Mayer was racing other drivers as well, because Sam Mayer wasn't just racing Jeb like that. Sam Mayer was racing multiple drivers like that, just being overly aggressive, just not really thinking, just trying to get to the championship board, and was going to deal with the repercussions later. At least that's the way I looked at it. And that's the same thing that Lane Riggs was doing in the Truck Series race as well. He just didn't piss anybody off to that extent. Tyler, what were your thoughts on Sam Mayer versus Jeb Burton? Sam Mayer getting suspended for the championship race. We won't see Sam Mayer racing until Daytona.
I mean, he definitely deserved it. He did exactly what he did, and then went on the mic and went as hot as he could and straightened everybody's face in the camera. I mean, so he called what he wanted on the fate on that. But problem is like you said, even at Junior Motorsports, he was known for tearing up equipment. He was known for not caring, not giving to anything other than himself. If he's not happy, then it doesn't matter. He doesn't care whose equipment's going to be at fault for it. So I don't know. I definitely think it's a steel nailed in the coffin that he doesn't make it to Cup at this point with that, in my opinion. I could be completely wrong, but there's so many other drivers that are still waiting for Cup rides that are 10 times better than he is right now. But he is not showing any reason why they should waste a dime of putting him in one of those cars.
Yeah, I think a lot of Xfinity's drivers aren't quite ready for Cup, and I would definitely put Sam Mayer in that. I definitely think he has the talent to get to Cup. I definitely think it's in there, and we've definitely seen it, especially on the road courses. He really started to make a name for himself on the road courses, and he's an aggressive driver. He just needs to be aggressive at the right times, and I really think this was a really bad moment for Sam Mayer, and him getting suspended for this race might just be another wake-up call that was desperately needed. And unfortunately, we'll miss the championship race and the final race with Haas and Ford. Next time we'll see Sam Mayer will be at Daytona in a Chevrolet in the number 41. So Ryan Siegel ended up taking his spot, so probably the big veteran over at Ford right now will actually see off Haas, which is kind of interesting, kind of cool. I wouldn't be surprised to see Sieg actually get his first win. A very good driver. Maybe get his first win on Saturday, replacing Sam Mayer, which would make things quite interesting for everything involving Haas, probably. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. What did you think about Sam Mayer versus Jeb Burton, and Sam Mayer deciding to wreck Jeb Burton post checkered flag and get suspended for the season finale? Do you think it's the right punishment? Do you think he should have been maybe punished more severely? Maybe not get suspended, maybe just a fine? Let me know your thoughts in the comments on Sam Mayer. All right. let's move on to these NASCAR documents. While I'm pulling these up, I'm going to say right now, I'm not like an expert on this sort of stuff. I'm not like a lawyer or anything like that. I'm not a business expert or anything, but we've had a bunch of financial documents, and you can see them right here on Bob Pockrass's X or Twitter page. A bunch of financial documents have been released through the courts, including NASCAR getting an income of more than $100 million last season. Apparently made much more in 2023, more than $500 million back in 2023, according to these documents. Like I said, I'm not a financial expert or a business expert or anything, but we've heard that we might get some of these documents released in the future if everything happened in court the way it's been happening as of late. NASCAR getting turned down in court recently. The upcoming court date in December, I forget exactly what date the court date is, to really officially decide all this stuff and to see if it's going to go to a big trial or not. I guess we'll figure that out in December when it comes to that. But I think all these financial documents, and like I said, I'm not going to read too much into these. I'm not a business expert or anything like that. I don't think any of us are business experts or anything like that. The main thing I really want to talk about when it comes to this is just going to be like the tip of the iceberg. I really think we're about to get potentially a lot of financial documents involving NASCAR, the race teams, the race tracks, Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, the NASCAR owned racetracks, maybe some of the other sanctioned racetracks as well. This could get really interesting, and we're really going to finally figure out some of the finances that are happening in the sport we love, NASCAR, which is, I think, very interesting for a lot of NASCAR fans to figure out some of this stuff. Because for pretty much all major sports leagues, not all of this stuff, but most of this stuff is just public knowledge because they're publicly traded companies or whatever the case may be. They're different. And NASCAR being privately owned doesn't release a lot of this information. We haven't known a lot of this information for quite a long time. Most of this information we've never known before. NASCAR hasn't been transparent with a lot of this financial information. So I'm very interested in to see and really read through all these documents and really figure out what all these documents may mean and the future documents. Because like I said, I think this is the tip of the iceberg. I think we're going to get a whole bunch of financial documents and knowledge about NASCAR and the teams and the racetracks finances in the very near future, which is very interesting no matter what way you look at it. It's definitely very interesting. Some people like myself would probably look at this as like a positive, and then some people would potentially even look at this like a negative. I don't know. I'm curious if Tyler Corey maybe looks at this like a negative. Corey, I guess I'll start with you on this. What do you think about these documents beginning to get released about the finances that go into NASCAR, the income, everything that's going on, and the potential future financial documents we could receive, and maybe even documents that aren't even involving finances?
I think transparency is a good thing in the long run. It's not going to look good in the short run.
Yeah.
It's not going to look good for NASCAR. There's going to be a lot of bad articles that come out for NASCAR. That's the biggest downfall for this. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. We've had so many teams leave the sport. We've had so many teams say they can't afford to do this, they can't afford to do that. Drivers that deserve rides that should get it based off talent, aka Corey Hunt, not get rides when they should get rides because teams don't have the money to support the car without sponsors.
Yeah. And
backing money and buying rides. I don't know. So in the long run, it's a good thing. In the short run, it's a bad thing. And I'm interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this plays out and how everything in court plays out. Because one of the things that I did find kind of interesting that I forgot to really mention there, it's not really something that's been really talked about very often, but One of the things that came down from this court decision was that Brian France was not to be mentioned. Really, he wasn't. They didn't want any mention of Brian France or them apparently looking into potentially Brian France and everything that happened with his DUI charge. And I think, if I remember correctly, he had some sort of pills on him, allegedly. If I'm saying that incorrectly, allegedly, or if I might be saying that incorrectly or something. So I found that really interesting. When it comes to Brian France, they don't really want the courts and everybody looking into Brian France. So, and I think we're just going to figure out a lot more interesting things about NASCAR, maybe more than just finances. Tyler, what are your thoughts on this? A lot of financial documents being released by NASCAR. What do you think about transparency when it comes to these finances and potentially more stuff? Are you in agreement with me and Corey that you potentially think it's a good thing, or do you think it's the opposite when it comes to this sort of transparency?
It really depends on what we come out to see. I mean, if it turns out that NASCAR's making ungodly money and there's sponsors out here that are shelling out way more money than that and getting little to no return, that's what scares me, because sponsorship could very easily be pulled. Because why do you need us? You're making that kind of money. We're paying for that. Yeah, no, we're good.
Oh.
So that's what scares me. I mean, in the long run, when it comes to teams and the rest of it, transparency is huge and definitely a step forward. That's what they need to be able to make fair fights and their percentages and all that fun hoorah. But when it comes to sponsorship, man, that's scary. NASCAR stacking money and they're saying that they're broke and they need everybody else to pay for it, but they're not. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is gonna get really interesting and potentially really dramatic. I think it's gonna have a big impact on the sport. It's already had a very huge impact on the sport, and I think there's a mixed bag of people that are against 2311 in front row, and then there's the other part of the other side of the coin that are really supportive and commend 2311 in front row. I personally really commend 2311 in front row and their bravery, because I don't think because we wouldn't be getting any information if they didn't decide to stand up. So, and I know a lot of other teams kind of wanted to do what they did, but they weren't in the proper position financially or didn't want to take the risk to really do it. So I commend those two race teams for doing what they believed in. So I'm interested to see what else comes of this in December, maybe over the next couple of weeks. I don't know what's going on over the next couple of weeks with these court cases. We're probably going to get some more documents come out, at least between now and the next court case. I expect some more documents to come out. So this is going to get very interesting, very dramatic. We'll have to see. I'm hoping that most of this stuff gets held off till at least after the championship. That way it's not a distraction for anybody, especially Denny competing for the championship. So I don't want this to be a distraction for anybody. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on this update when it comes to the courts, with the 2311 Front Row Motorsports versus NASCAR and these financial documents being released. All right, so let's talk a little bit about silly season. We have some silly season updates. The first big silly season update would be Colleague Ram has added some more drivers, some more announced drivers. One of them was extremely predictable. One of them was just kind of predictable. And that was Daniel Dye and Justin Haley are now both racing for Colleague Ram in the Craftsman Truck Series in 2026. They have 3 out of their 5 drivers decided on. First started with Butterbean, Brendan Queen, and now they have signed Daniel Dye and Justin Haley. Justin Haley signed with Colleague in the Xfinity Series years ago, eventually moved up to their Cup Series program, and now is going to race for their Truck Series program and be the beginning of the Dodge era over at Colleague Racing. So this is quite interesting when it comes to Colleague. Tyler, I guess I'll start with you on this one. What are your thoughts on these 2 drivers joining Colleague Racing in the Truck Series, Daniel Dye and Justin Haley?
we kind of seen Daniel coming. We kind of knew that was what was heading there, but the Justin Haley thing is definitely interesting. I mean, he's already made his way all the way up to Cup and to go all the way back to Truck in a place that he didn't do terrible at. I mean, I could see him actually being a truck champion competitor next year. So
Maybe next
that's
week.
where I mean that next week. That's where it really changes things up for Ram, because if you're gonna put a driver like that in the seat, I mean you got real high chances of actually becoming something in the first year.
I would agree for sure. I think it's smart for Justin Haley. I think he needs to go back to the beginning, and I don't know. I don't know at this point if he really should climb all the way back to the Cup Series. I really look at him as this point as potentially a new Justin Allgaier. Maybe he could be the new Matt Crafton of the Truck Series or something like that, and stick around for quite a while. I think Justin Haley is definitely a talented race car driver, and I think no matter what way you look at it, whether you want him to climb back up to the top or you want him to be like a Justin Allgaier, Matt Crafton type like I do, we've seen a bunch of Cup drivers go back to the Truck Series back in the day and have a lot of success as well. I think it would just be a really great move for Justin Haley. I think it's a smart move from Justin Haley, and to potentially become the face of Ram, I think is pretty cool as well. With Ram joining the Truck Series, and I mentioned a second ago that there's been a lot of Cup Series drivers that have came down to the Truck Series and had a lot of success, and he can join an elite group of drivers. Part of that group, you have like Mike Skinner and Johnny Benson, Todd Bodine. You had a whole bunch of Cup guys that didn't really necessarily succeed at the Cup Series level, but went down to the trucks and were just superstars in the trucks and competing for wins and championships year in and year out. And maybe Justin Haley could be the next version of that. I think that'd be a good move, personally. I think that'd be a really good move on his part to do that. But Corey, what are your thoughts on Colleague Racing adding these two drivers to their Ram team? 3 out of the 5 spots have been filled. They've decided to add Daniel Dye, which we all saw happening because the announcement was made at Daniel Dye's dad's dealership, so that was extremely predictable. And then Justin Haley used to race for Colleague, and he's back. He's back at Colleague and back in the Truck Series.
Oh no, I think it just creates more excitement for Ram. I think that's really what it comes down to. I think we're all excited to see Ram come back to the sport. We're excited to see if Dodge will come back to Cup. Well, this is opening the doors to a new horizon for NASCAR. And honestly, that's what's exciting. And the fact that they're
New horizon.
getting a good roster like this of drivers, it's gonna make it even more interesting. Because obviously they have to start from ground zero, but it's with a cast like they have right now so far, they're going all in. They're swinging for the fences right now. So I'm excited. That's really what it comes down to. Seeing Justin Haley, I'm gonna say the same thing Tyler did. It's surprising, especially last year, 2 years ago when he was doing so good with Rick Ware Racing, see him get out of Cup that quickly. It's surprising, but I agree exactly with what you said. I think at this point, if Cup pushes you out so quickly, your longevity in the sport is probably not going to be in that series unless you just change entirely and go off.
I like the way you put it. New horizon. Makes it sound epic. It's an epic feature for Colleague Racing, starring Chris Rice in a very tight T-shirt. That's the epic right there. Colleague Racing. But I'm excited for this new era for Colleague Racing, and the main reason I think that is not even necessarily just because he got spat out so quickly, and I do think it's unfair that he got spat out so quickly. I wish he definitely got some more time in the Cup Series, but he's had success at every level. He's looked strong at every level, but at every level, at Trucks, at Xfinity included, he wasn't like the top of his class. He was never like the top of his class. When he was a Colleague and he had all the success he was having a Colleague in the Xfinity Series, out of the 3 drivers, he was the 3rd best driver, and I'm being very nice about that, the 3rd best driver. out of those three, because Chastain was Chastain. I think everybody knew from the get-go when he got into that Ganassi car the year or two before that this kid is something special. He just needs the right opportunity. And AJ Allmendinger is freaking AJ Allmendinger. He's one of the best road course racers to ever race in NASCAR, and has improved on the ovals quite a bit as well. And Justin Haley in the Truck Series, good driver, was definitely very competitive, but wasn't competing for wins race in, race out. Definitely got some wins, and definitely competed up front, but wasn't a dominating sort of driver that we've seen in the Truck Series over the last couple of years. So maybe this, with all his experience now, I think going down to the Truck Series would be really good for him. And I think he could have a lot of success at the lower levels like the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, and potentially win a championship next year, especially if we end up changing the format, because he's a very smart driver, has a very high racing IQ, and that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of people like him as well, because he's very smart, stays out of trouble. He's going to get you if he has like a 25th place car, he's probably going to get you like 21st. Like, he's just going to do a little bit better than what that car is going to really do usually, and that's purely just because he stays out of trouble and he's very smart. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on Justin Haley and Daniel Dye going to the Truck Series to race with Colleague and Ram and be the beginning of the Dodge era with Colleague Racing. And also, we didn't really even talk about it, but we talked about it a little bit last week. Colleague Racing no longer having their Xfinity Series program, and Dodge, they'll probably be back in a couple years when Dodge goes Xfinity Series racing. So Colleague is starting off from scratch. Very interesting. Never seen it really from a race team before, I don't think. Not that I can recall. Let me know in the comments if you can recall something like this with the race team doing something like this, trying to start from scratch. But let me know your thoughts in the comments about Daniel Dye and Justin Haley going truck racing with Ram. All right, let's get into that other silly season story. I was really happy to hear this because I think he's had a really good rookie season. Maybe not amazing, especially the way he started this season and the way he raced part-time last year. And of course, I'm talking about Carson Quaffle last year in his few starts. Was very competitive, almost got a win or two if I remember correctly. At the beginning portion of this year was very competitive, competed for a couple wins, almost won at Circuit of the Americas, ended up losing a tire, I think, late when he was running second to Connor Zilic. Looked really strong there. But honestly, in this, not even necessarily the second half, but really the summer months kind of fell off a little bit there. But over the last couple weeks, has picked it back up and has got a spot into the Championship 4. But it was announced, I think 2 weeks ago at this point, it was announced that he was actually going to be racing part-time in the number 1. We really never got a full explanation on that. We were just told that Carson Quaffle was going to drive a couple races in the number 1. We were never told officially that he's racing part-time. So I guess that might have been wrong for us to assume that. And I think everybody kind of assumed that this means he's going to be racing part-time next year. But Dale Jr. and everybody over at Junior Motorsports has apparently figured out a way for him to go full-time next year and fill up the rest of his races in some sort of way, whether that's with Junior Motorsports or with the Hendrick Motorsports number 17, or maybe with a different race car. Who knows? A different Chevrolet in the Xfinity Series. We'll have to see. But this is very cool to see Carson Quaffle going full-time racing once again next year. I think he can compete for a championship. But Corey, what are your thoughts on this? Carson Quaffle will actually be a full-time driver next year in Xfinity after initially seeming like he was going to be part-time, but now will be racing full-time and racing for a championship.
Well-deserved. I think that's well-deserved. He's in the Final Four, right? Didn't he make it to the Final Four?
Yep.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I don't see how a driver can make it to the Final Four and not have a full-time ride next year. That'd be kind of asinine. But unless you're Forey Heim, I guess. But, I don't know. He's quietly been very consistent. And being in a JRM car, that doesn't sound possible, but he has been. And I think a lot of it's due to being a rookie while Connor Zilic is also a rookie. And what Connor Zilic is doing, it just puts him in the shadow. But lo and behold, he's in the Final Four with Allgaier and Connor Zilic. And it's just like, he's like, hey, I'm here. I don't know. he deserves a cup or not cup ride. He deserves a full-time ride. I'm glad he got it. That's really what it comes down to because he's been consistent.
Yeah, he's been very consistent, and he deserves the full time Xfinity Series ride. Quaffle. I'm happy that he was able to get it, and it's really just comes down to money. He doesn't really bring a lot of sponsorship to the table. The sponsorship he brings to the table isn't really his sponsorship he's bringing to the table. It's Junior really bringing the sponsorship to the table, like Bass Pro and these other sponsorships. And I think that was the ultimate issue with Carson Quaffle is you just didn't have the sponsorship backing for next season. Maybe him getting into the championship four, maybe pushed it over the edge to like, oh, where a sponsor is like, okay, we'll do 10 races, like something like that. We'll sponsor 10 races, fine. Something like that. But Tyler, what are your thoughts on this? Carson Quaffle will actually be a full-time racer next season and compete for a championship, but we don't know what car he's going to be racing other than the one so far.
I mean, I think that's awesome, personally. I think it goes to show that everything that Junior's building on the lower end of everything is actually working, that these boys can come in and actually be really great race car drivers. I mean, he's not, Connor Zilic, but nobody's going to be Connor Zilic. That's a once-in-a-lifetime driver. So it's cool to see that he's going to get another chance to prove how good he is. All these kids, we're going to get to see a whole nother side of next year. Next year, they're not going to have somebody that's beating them by, 3 or 4 laps, hopefully, right in their faces. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be good to see. It's good for Junior. It's good for him. Mostly good for Junior, though. I think that's where it really lands.
Yeah, I think this is great for Dale Jr., Junior Motorsports, because Carson Quaffle is a very competitive driver, and for the most part, he stays out of trouble. He doesn't go out there and cause incidents and wreck race cars. He's usually staying out of trouble. I just feel like in the summer months, he really fell off in performance. I'm not really sure why that was, and at the beginning portion of the playoffs, definitely didn't look all that strong either, but over the last couple of weeks, he's picked it up enough where he was able to make it into the championship four. And we'll just have to see how he ends up doing next season. And I'm very curious on what car he's going to race, because one thing I'm really going to be looking for, and we've talked about this a bunch on this channel, it's no secret that the fourth best, and I'm a huge fan. The fourth best driver at Hendrick is Alex Bowman, and he hasn't re-signed yet after the 2026 season. I would not be surprised to see Carson Quaffle potentially driving part-time in the number 17 for Hendrick Motorsports next season. So just something to keep an eye out for. That's kind of my prediction there, that he's going to be racing a good amount of races in that number 17. And when Mr. Hendrick saw him in the championship four, is like, gotta have him in my car. And that might be what's happening. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on Carson Quaffle going full-time next year. We were thinking that he might go part-time because he's only racing a couple of races in the number one, but it's been figured out that he's actually going to be filling up the rest of his schedule in 1, 2, maybe 3 other rides. Who knows what cars he'll race next year. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. All right. Before we get to our championship previews, I did realize a little bit ago that I did forget, we did forget to talk about William Byron, and William Byron winning his way into the championship four. William Byron, this guy is definitely special. He's one of the next ones up. I think his first championship is right around the corner. Has been competitive all year long, but just did it at the right time. We've seen Blaney do it. We've seen Christopher Bell do it. And now we've seen, we also saw, of course, Jeff Gordon do it, who's the one I most remember doing it. And now we have William Byron doing it, winning his way into the championship four in an overall very entertaining race at Martinsville with the tire fall off, produced certain strategy. We actually saw good amount of passing, looked like old-fashioned Martinsville at points in that race. Not the greatest race at Martinsville ever, but one of the better ones we've seen over the last couple of years, I would say. Tyler, what were your thoughts on Billy and Byron getting the victory, locking himself into the championship for Jeff Gordon part 2, even had a very similar celebration to Jeff Gordon's celebration. He got picked up and everything like Jeff Gordon. It was very, very similar to the moment Jeff Gordon had years ago at Martinsville when Jeff Gordon got his last career victory, which I know you remember very fondly. What were your thoughts on this win from Byron and your overall thoughts on the race we saw?
And it was, you could almost just envision Jeff Gordon in that car from the start to the end of that race. You could just feel the ghost of Jeff Gordon inside of that car. And it was, for me, an amazing race to watch. It really was. They put on one hell of a product. The boys did it right. They raced with respect. I mean, I was watching that 24 car from start to the end, and it was everything I wanted to see. I was so happy for Byron. So happy. But I don't think anybody was more happy than Gordon, man. He came over there with those peppered eyebrows and was straight celebrating harder than anybody else was. Man. I'm so excited for him.
Yeah, I'm happy for Gordon. I'm happy for Byron. Byron, definitely a deserving member of the championship 4, has had a very great season. I think we talked about it like very early on in the year. It's like if I had to name a champion right now, it'd be William Byron. Early on in the year, he was just really, him and Bell were kind of the class of the field at the very start of the year. He had a little bit of slower summer months, but he's really picked it up here in the playoffs and gets the win at the right time when he absolutely needed a victory after arguably he could have won Vegas, and what happened with Ty Dillon happened. Could have gotten a really great finish at Talladega, got spun around coming to the checkered flag, and then gets the victory in a very clutch moment at Martinsville, a Game 7 moment, the Game 7 moment that NASCAR and Mamba Smith love so much. Corey, what are your thoughts on Willie B getting this victory in a very clutch moment, and your overall thoughts on the race we saw on Sunday?
It was the most deserved car and driver to get to the Final Four, in my opinion. Like, he was the regular season champion, and he absolutely dominated that race. Ryan Blaney was second in dominating that race because he went from the tail end of the field to battling for the lead, not through pit stops, but through passing, which is kind of insane to say at Martinsville. But having those two fight for the win, and, you know, it come down to the best 2 cars at Martinsville, it felt different than the past few Martinsvilles have been, because it felt like actual racing. It was clean, other than the hurricane wrecking like 5 times this weekend.
Let's not call him that. Let's stop calling him that.
But,
God damn it.
But Byron deserves it, dude. Byron deserves it. I mean, honestly, any of the 4 that made it to the championship win, I'm happy. I think Briscoe, I'm probably least happy, but not because of Briscoe, but because we all want to see Denny get a championship at this point. I'm a Larson fan. And then William Byron getting the first championship after the year he's had and the talent he's obviously shown. Like, I know this championship weekend is going to be exciting, because this Final Four is honestly up to debate the best Final Four to make it. And we don't have to watch Penske again.
And it's potentially the last time we're ever going to see this exact format in place. So that could make it even more interesting. But William Byron has his Game 7 moment, has his clutch moment. Sabrina Carpenter is hyped because William Byron is in the championship 4. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Willie B goes to the championship 4. Let me know your thoughts on the race, because the tires and everything and all the strategy that came with that was just freaking awesome. I loved it, and it really kind of took it back a little bit. Goodyear, we love you, Goodyear. But let me know your thoughts in the comments and in the replies. Okay. Now let's preview these championships a little bit. Before we get to the actual Phoenix Cup Series race, I do want to talk about the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series championship a little bit, because we do have a couple of championships up up for battle this weekend. We'll start with the Truck Series here. This did not come out very well. I wasn't very happy with this graphic, so I do apologize here. I was in a crunch of time, and I was like, let me try an AI graphic with this shit right here. It didn't really work out that well. The other two ended up not being AI, but this one is AI. I will admit that is an AI graphic right there. That isn't Corey Heim. That is Tori Heim. That is not Ty Majeski. That is Kai Majeski. That's Caden Honeycutt with the C, and that's not Tyler Ankrum. That's actually Ross Chastain right there. But this is our championship 4. This is our championship 4 that we have for the Craftsman Truck Series. Caden Honeycutt driving the number 52 for Stuart Friesen, replacing Stuart Friesen. A fantastic story. Caden Honeycutt, a big-time iRacer, actually racing in the NASCAR iRacing series, the Coca-Cola series for a couple of years. Very successful short track racer as well. I'm very excited to see him in this position. Just a great story, replacing the injured Stuart Friesen in the number 52. But you see the stats underneath him: 0 wins, 13 top 10s, and 51 laps led on the season. Then we look at the number 18 of Tyler Ankrum. I'm a big fan of Tyler Ankrum. He's a big-time blue-collar guy, a farmer, really works really hard. And over the last couple of years, I definitely seen some regression out of Ankrum. When he first jumped into the Truck Series, I was like, this guy is going to climb the ranks really quickly. And then he just kind of regressed over the last couple of seasons. But then him joining McAnally this season in the number 18, he's had a great year. Gets into the championship 4, has 1 win, 15 top 10s, and 102 laps led on the season. And then we look over at Ty Majeski, last season's champion, 0 wins on the season, 17 top 10s, and 190 laps led on the season. End up getting into the championship 4, looking to go back to back. Could be a great moment for Majeski in a very difficult season for ThorSport, and that team usually has a bunch of success. They have yet to win this season. That team as a whole, maybe Ty Majeski can get them their first win on Friday night at Phoenix, at one of Ty Majeski's best racetracks, I would say. And then we look at Corey Heim. The other 3 drivers have 1 win combined. Corey Heim has 11 wins on the season. He has 20 top 10s. And Ty Majeski has the second most led laps out of this bunch with 190 laps led on the season. Well, Corey Heim has 1,527 laps led this season, which is, what the fuck? What the fuck is that? How do you have that many laps led? That's insane. Heim time, 11 wins on the season. Before we talk about Xfinity, let's quickly talk about this truck championship. Is there any realistic way where a driver not named Corey Heim wins the championship and we're all not rioting? Is there any way that, Corey, it seems like you want to chime in on this?
I think it's going to happen either Friday or Saturday. One of those 2 races is not going to be won by Connor or Corey. And we're all going to be pissed and rightfully so, because both of them have won. Haven't they both won like 10? How many has Connor won?
10.
Yeah, so like it should be written in stone already, but one of them's not going to win it, and honestly, I think Corey Heim's the one set up to not win it, and honestly, it just sums up his whole future right now, where it's just annoying, and it wouldn't surprise me if Majeski takes it from him.
Tyler, what are your thoughts on this truck championship? Is there any realistic way that a driver not named Corey Heim wins this championship and we're okay with it? I don't think there's any way we are okay with that.
No, nobody's going to be okay with that unless you're Mamba and one of those freaks.
Mamba!
That's good sports.
Mamba.
That's all. That's it.
Mamba
Anybody
has the
else thinks
pulse on the
that's
sport, though.
that's
Mamba
trash.
has the whole pulse on the sport, though. He knows. He knows the young people. You know.
He knows something, that's for sure.
He knows something or nothing, depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
We love you, Mamba. We like your hype, and we like that you love NASCAR as much as you do. We respect that part. That part. Um, but yeah, I'm going to be really disappointed if Heim Time doesn't win this championship. He's just had a complete domination of a year, and that's nothing necessarily against Majeski, Ankrum, or Honeycutt. I've been very open on how big of a fan I am of Honeycutt on this channel just because I love his story. He's a driver that's really worked for everything he's got. He's done everything he could to get his name out there. I'm a big fan of that. Ankrum's an old-fashioned sort of driver, even though he's not old. He's a very young driver, but he acts like he's kind of like a Josh Berry sort of type, just an old-fashioned blue-collar sort of guy. And then Ty Majeski is just your classic racer. He's just a pure racer. Ty Majeski, a lot of people would argue Ty Majeski's the best short track racer in the country, period. Any series, anything, period. A lot of people would argue that. But Corey Heim, very special. I don't see any way that we're not going to be pissed if he doesn't win that championship. We're all going to be pissed if he doesn't win that championship. With that being said, I think we're all in agreement. Our pick to win the Truck Series championship is Corey Heim. Am I fair in agreeing that our pick to win is Corey Heim? We all think Corey Heim is going to win. But if we're going to pick somebody that's not Corey, like if someone's going to just spoil the party, if someone's going to spoil the egg salad, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Majeski, Honeycutt, or Ankrum? And I guess I'll start with you, Tyler. Out of those three, who do you think is the most likely driver to spoil the party?
I'm Majeski, unfortunately.
I would agree with you 120%. Ty Majeski is a very special short track racer. Phoenix is very similar to a short track. I wouldn't say Phoenix is his best track, but I would say it's probably his second or third best track on the schedule. I would probably say maybe IRP might be his best racetrack. He's really good over there. But Corey, who do you think is the most likely candidate? And you kind of already showed your hand earlier. I think I already know you're going to say. I think you showed your hand earlier. But who do you think is the most likely candidate to foil Heim Time?
I mean, I think it's obviously Majeski with his experience at that racetrack and his history at the racetrack. I mean, it's going to sound weird. I wouldn't mind if it was the other two. Mm-hmm. I want it to be Heim, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm a fan of first-time winners, first-time champions. It'd be cool to see that. And Corey Heim deserves it. There's no arguing that. So, but if there's someone to upset, it's Majeski.
Yeah, I would say Majeski is the most likely as well. And yeah, if Honeycutt or Ankrum won, I would be like, I like those guys, and that's cool for them. You know, I'm a big fan of Honeycutt. I like Ankrum as well. But just to see Heim lose it in that sort of way would be very disappointing. I would have been like, that's a great story. Honeycutt or Ankrum winning. That's a great story that they won. That's great. But there's great stories in WWE, you know, and that's just the way I would look at it. There's great stories over in WWE, but it's not real competition. This is supposed to be real competition. To have that happen would be awful. I tried my best to be happy in the moment for those two guys, but it'd be very difficult. It'd be very difficult. One thing I would like to see, no matter who wins the championship, at least, I'm not saying give the trophy to Heim. I'm not saying that at all, but give some sort of credit to Corey Heim. Be like, I won this championship, yeah, but Corey Heim, he had a great year, y'all. You know, like y'all should really remember, because if that's one thing that's unfair about these playoffs too. If Corey Heim, for example, doesn't win the championship, we're all going to be thinking about it for a couple of months, but 3-4 years from now, a lot of people are going to forget. All of us will remember. The diehards will remember, but some of the more casual people will completely forget that Corey Heim won 11 races and completely dominated the season just because he didn't win the championship. Everybody will forget. That would be like, oh, it was really cool when Tyler Ankrum won the championship that year. I forgot who was in the championship with him, but I remember that Ankrum won it, and I was really happy about it. It was cool, and that's what I'm kind of worried about with that. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on the championship for the Craftsman Truck Series. Who is your pick to win the Truck Series championship this weekend in Phoenix? All right, now we'll move on to the Xfinity Series championship. This one is not an AI graphic. This is actually the people. That is actually Jesse Love right there in front of your face. He's looking at you very sinisterly. But those are our 4 drivers in the championship 4. We have Carson Quaffle with 0 wins, 14 top 10s, and 104 laps led on the season. I was talking about him just a little bit ago now that he's racing full time next year in 2026. Still don't know all the details on that. But Carson Quaffle started off this season very strong, and his few starts last year was very strong. I think he really fell off in the summer months, but here at the end of the season, I think he's picked it up a little bit at the right time and definitely has a very bright future. And then you look over at Jesse Love, completely dominated ARCA a couple of years ago, seemed to be the best young prospect for a little bit there. He's kind of stalled out at RCR, to be fair, a little bit, but still has had a very great season. And I think in the second half of the season in particular, first half of the season, I think Austin Hill was still the head honcho over at RCR, but by the playoffs starting, I think Jesse Love really took over that role as the best driver over at RCR. He's really improved on performance and is usually outperforming his teammate Austin Hill week in and week out unless they're at the super speedways. But Jesse Love, 1 win, 21 top 10s, 262 laps led on the year. Really good year for him. We'll take a look over at Lil Gator, Justin Allgaier, looking to go back-to-back. This guy was considered one of the best drivers who's never won a championship in NASCAR, period, but finally got the monkey off his back last year, getting that win in the championship at, most would say, and I would personally say myself, his best racetrack of Phoenix Raceway, getting that win last year, winning the championship. Looking to go back-to-back, and this year he has 3 wins, 19 top 10s, and 973 laps led on the season. Would probably have a whole bunch more wins if his teammate wasn't Connor Zilisch, who is your last competitor, number 88. Connor Zilisch has 10 wins on the year, even though he missed 2 races. 22 top 10s, 986 laps led on the year. Only a couple more laps led than Allgaier, but 7 more wins on the season for Connor Zilisch. And me personally, I feel very similar to this as I do to the Truck Series Championship 4. If Corey Heim doesn't win the championship, I'm going to be pissed. And it's kind of the same deal here. If Connor Zilisch doesn't win the championship, I'm going to be pissed. I might not be quite as pissed just because if it's Justin Allgaier, for example, because Justin Allgaier has definitely had a very strong year as well. And like I said, if Zilisch wasn't out there, Allgaier would probably have 8 or 9 wins on the season, probably, not 3. You'd have a lot more wins for sure on the season. But I want to get both y'all's thoughts on this. I guess I'll start with you, Tyler. What are your thoughts on this championship 4, and what are we potentially looking forward to on Saturday with these guys?
I don't know. We're definitely seeing a junior motorsports car taking home the championship. But I'm more set on Corey Heim. I'm more set on Corey Heim taking home that truck than I am Connor Zilisch taking home that Saturday. I have a weird feeling that we got a number 7 going back to back.
Ooh, you think Allgaier can go back to back? Oh wow. But I think you jinxed it right there because Jesse Love is in the championship, and I think you just wrote Jesse Love's check for the championship, saying that Junior Motorsports is guaranteed to win it. But you can answer to Junior. You can answer to Junior on that one. But Corey, what are your thoughts on this championship 4, and what do you expect to see potentially this weekend with this championship 4 we have in place?
I honestly think of it in the exact same way I think of the Truck Series. I think Heim is deserving of winning in the Truck Series championship, and Majeski's going to steal it. And I think Connor Zilisch is worthy of winning the Xfinity championship, but Justin Allgaier is going to steal it. That's literally exactly how I think it's going to go down.
Oh, damn. So we have 2 Justin Allgaiers as the pick for the championship. Is that your honest pick? Do you think Justin Allgaier is actually going to win the championship?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. He's really good at Phoenix, man.
Yeah.
Connor Zilisch is going to have to race his ass off to beat Justin Allgaier at Phoenix. He was 2 laps down last year and won it, dude. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
And obviously, it's not the same circumstances, but I hope Zilisch wins it. But it's going to be hard to beat Allgaier at Phoenix.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for sure. I'm gonna have to pick Zilisch. I'll take Zilisch to win the championship. I'll be the lone wolf on that. But I think Zilisch is gonna take the championship. But wouldn't be surprised at all if Allgaier wins it. It's definitely Allgaier's best racetrack. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens out there. Who knows? Maybe Jesse Love wins the championship and goes on stage and thanks Tyler in his speech for the win. But let me know your thoughts in the comments and in the replies. Who's your pick to win the Xfinity Series championship, and what do you expect from this championship 4 we have in place? Let me know down below. All right. Now we'll move on to the Cup Series. We'll preview the Cup Series weekend, and then we'll talk about the championship 4 that we do have in place. Let's go through, before we do that, though, we will go through the weekend facts and schedule for Phoenix Raceway. The Cup Series championship this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. The stages end, you see on your screen right there. Stage 1 ends at lap 60. Stage 2, lap 185. And it's a 312 lap race at Phoenix Raceway, 312 miles. The track, of course, is located in Avondale, Arizona, right outside of Phoenix. It opened back in 1964, back when it was a multi-motorsport facility. It had a drag strip, it had a road course on the racetrack, and it had the old version of the dog leg before they decided to take out all the grass and change up the banking. That was the track constructed back in 1964, but the Cup Series didn't go to Phoenix until November 6th of 1988. And that race was actually won by Alan Kulwicki. It was the birthplace of the Polish victory lap. The first time we saw the Polish victory lap, Alan Kulwicki's celebration ever performed. The last time this track got repaved was back in 2011 when it did get the grass taken out. It had the banking change up a little bit. That's why we have all these crazy restarts now at Phoenix Raceway, because of the last time this track got repaved and reconstructed back in 2011. The active win leader is Smokin' Joe, Joey Logano, with 4 wins at the racetrack, and he was also last year's winner of this event when he won his 3rd championship last season. The notable entries we have for this weekend in the Truck Series, we have Brent Cruz once again driving the number 1 for Tricon. We have Stephen Parsons actually driving the number 7 for Aspire Motorsports. Stephen Parsons, a driver that very rarely gets these sort of opportunities in these quality race cars. He tends to get better performances out of his cars than most, so I do have some high expectations for Stefan, of course, being also Benny Parsons' grandson. So I'm very interested to see how he does. In the Xfinity Series, we have Corey Day once again in the 17. William Sawalich, from what I've read, is actually going to be ruled out once again this weekend. And Justin Bonsignore, once again, will be replacing William Sawalich. I really hope William gets better soon. 2 straight weeks out with the concussion. Last time I saw this was Kurt Busch, so I don't like to see that. So hopefully he gets back into the car soon. Good young race car driver who is finishing up the season very strong. And then over in the then this is where it gets a little wild, because Sam Mayer, of course, has gotten suspended. With Sam Mayer getting suspended out of the 41, I would say the leading face for Ford next year, Ryan Sieg, has moved from the 39, his own race team, to the 41 for Haas, while his younger brother, Kyle Sieg, is actually moved from the 28 to the 39. And then the driver they have replacing Kyle Sieg in the 28 is Nick Lights, who's made a couple of starts in the Xfinity Series over the last couple of weeks. He'll be racing in the 28. And then you look at the Cup Series, you have J.J. Yaley and Casey Mears racing in the Cup Series this weekend in the number 44 and in the number 66. And then if you look at the weekend weather report, it's actually a 4-day forecast this time because we do have Truck Series practice on Thursday night, which we'll talk about here in a second. Sunny all weekend, 0% chance of rain. So should be a clear weekend in Phoenix for racing, which doesn't come as a very big surprise. And now we will look at the weekend schedule. And I got a big bone to pick here. On Thursday, we have Truck Series practice at 7:30 Eastern Time. For the final practice of the season, there will be no TV. It will not be televised in any way, will not be streaming, will not be on Fox Sports 1 or 2. No Truck Series practice on TV. So unless you're at the track like us, you will not be able to watch Truck Series practice. Sorry about that. On Friday, Halloween, we have Truck Series qualifying at 3:30 on Fox Sports 2. At 4:30, we have Xfinity Series practice on the CW app. At 5:30, we have Cup Series practice on True TV. And then at 7:30 on Fox Sports 1, we have the Truck Series Championship on Halloween night. Should be a fun one. And then on Saturday at 1:30 p.m., we have the Desert Diamond Casino West Valley. That is a mouthful 100, and that is for the ARCA Menards West Series. That's the season finale for the ARCA Menards Series West, and that will be on Flow Racing. At 3:30, we have Xfinity Series qualifying on the CW app, followed by Cup Series qualifying on True TV at 4:30. And then we have the Xfinity Series Championship on Saturday night on the CW. And then on Sunday on NBC at 3 p.m. before Sunday Night Football, we have the Cup Series Championship at Phoenix Raceway. The last time we'll have the championship at Phoenix Raceway for the next couple of years. The last time we'll have the championship in this exact format, which leads me right into the Cup Championship 4. This is our Cup Championship 4 heading into Phoenix Raceway. Very great Championship 4. I think it's one of the more deserving Championship 4s we've seen over the last couple of years. First, we'll take a look at Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe, 3 wins, 19 top 10s, 881 laps led on the season. First season over at Joe Gibbs Racing. Started off the season a little bit slow. I wouldn't say he started off the season very strong. And then after a couple of races under his belt, we began to see the speed because all of a sudden he looked like Rocket Man Ryan Newman getting a whole bunch of poles, but wasn't really able to have the in-race pace, just didn't really have the speed throughout a race, wasn't able to finish off a race. Finally began to figure that out, notched off a couple of wins, including the Southern 500 for the second straight year. So Chase Briscoe in the Championship 4. Then we look at Young Money, Hung Money, Kyle Larson with 3 wins on the year, 21 top 10s, 1,106 laps led on the season for Young Money, who's, in my opinion, probably had the most up and down season I've seen since he's gotten to Hendrick. I think every season he's either been like amazing or he's just been great consistently all year. At some points this year, he looks amazing. At some points, he looks great. And at some points, he just looks awful. He doesn't even look like Kyle Larson out there. He looks like a different driver. But over the last month and a half, I think he's definitely gotten back to himself. And we'll see if he's hit his stride at the right time and can get his second Cup Series championship. And then we look over at William Byron, Willie B., who won himself a spot into the Championship 4. Started off the season very strong, winning the Daytona 500 once again. Has 3 wins on the year, including that Daytona 500, 16 top 10s, and 1,278 laps led this season. great season from Willie B and a clutch moment to get himself into the championship 4. And then we move on to Dennis the Menace, Denny Hamlin, the driver of the number 11, still searching for that first Cup Series championship. Is this his last? Is this year his last real opportunity to get it? We'll have to see. But a phenomenal year from Denny Hamlin. 6 wins, 17 top 10s, and 816 laps led on the season for Denny Hamlin. All right, so that is your championship 4. Let me take this down here. I don't want to get both y'all's thoughts on this. I guess I'll start with you, Corey. What are your thoughts on this championship 4? We'll save our championship 4 picks for when we get to the weekly picks here in a second. But what are your thoughts on this championship 4 that we have in place, and what sort of racing do you potentially think we could get at Phoenix this weekend?
The most deserving 4, I think, made it. I think you can debatably argue Bell and some others, but I don't know. I think with these 4, they've all deserved to be here. There's no arguing that. And honestly, if any of them won, I think we'd all be happy. Like, I know, and it's hard. And with this playoff format, it's hard to say that. These last few years, I think we've all agreed that, well, there's a couple in there that don't deserve to win a championship, a.k.a. Joey Logano. But this year, I think we're all like, every single one of them had a good year, and it'll be awesome to see. So I don't know. I think the racing will be great. I think the 4 and the championship 4 will be fighting each other all day, because they're all good at Phoenix. So I don't know. I'm excited. Like, the second that Martinsville race ended and we got our final 4, I was just like, this is going to be awesome. And I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty stacked championship 4, and I think I would probably make the argument for Bell. I'd probably put Bell in there maybe over Byron or maybe over Larson. I would probably argue, but that's just one guy. But I think these are 4 out of the top 5 best drivers in the Cup Series this season. So with the format that we have in place, and I don't think any of us agree with the current format, but for the format we have in place, I would probably say these are probably the 4 most deserving drivers, or like I said, an argument to be made for Bell. 4 most deserving drivers in the Cup Series and the Championship 4, and I expect some good battles throughout the day. I know they have that left side tire that they had at where do they have this left side tire at? I can't remember now. I'm at a blank. But they had this left side tire not all that long ago, not at Martinsville, but I can't remember right now. But it's a really good left side tire that Goodyear has used a couple of times now this season. I think it's Bristol now that I'm remembering. It might have been Bristol. But a really good Goodyear tire that they're bringing to Martinsville. And I think we're going to potentially have some good racing. I think we're going to have some good racing at Martinsville. I mean, not at Martinsville, at Phoenix, at least compared to what we usually have at Phoenix. And this is a very good championship 4 to have that. Tyler, what are your thoughts on the championship 4 we have in place? And like I told Corey, wait to make your championship pick when we do the weekly picks. But what are your thoughts on this championship 4, and what sort of racing could we potentially have at Phoenix on Sunday?
I mean, if we have to have this format, that's probably the best 4 you can get. Like you said, Bell should probably be in there somewhere, but I would say probably remove the 19 or the 5. But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Both of them great drivers, but consistency definitely could have been better.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But yeah, no, championship 4 is going to be great. It's going to be a good weekend. Like you said, we got that great left side tire that's just supposed to be making a difference in Phoenix. So, I mean, hopefully we'll see that. Not just a snooze fest, but overall should be a good weekend.
Yeah, it should be one of the more entertaining races I think we've had at Phoenix. If I had to make a prediction right now, I would say this will be the most entertaining race we've had at Phoenix in this generation of car. If I had to make a prediction right now, that would be my prediction right now. And I think that championship 4 that we have in place is going to be a very big part of it, because I think they're all going to be fighting really hard to get this win at Phoenix. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you expect from this championship 4? Do you think this is the deserving championship 4 for the Cup Series? And what sort of racing do you think we might get at Phoenix Raceway. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. All right. So this will have us move on to our weekly picks. Our weekly picks finale. We've done picks for all 37 races so far, including the All-Star race and the Clash at the beginning of the season. And at the end of the season, without a playoffs, you don't need a playoffs. Without a playoffs, we all have a chance to win the championship this weekend for Phoenix. I definitely have the least chance, but we all technically have a chance to win the championship this weekend at Phoenix. So let me pull up the weekly picks standings here. This is how the weekly pick standings look at the moment post Martinsville. Tyler almost made a big splash. If Ryan Blaney almost won that race. If Ryan Blaney, because Tyler picked Ryan Blaney last week, if Ryan Blaney won that race, he would have tied Corey in points heading into the championship race. But Ryan Blaney didn't win the race. Well, no, he wouldn't have tied him. He would have been actually 1 point short. My math ain't math in there. Would have been 1 point short, but still would have been a lot closer in points. Tyler would have been if he had won with Ryan Blaney, but he didn't. He ended up getting second with Ryan Blaney, but did also get the weekly win. So he got 4 points on the weekend, 3 for the weekly win, and then of course the 1 point. 1 bonus point for a top 5 and moves into second in points with 93 points. Finishing second out of us was Corey. Corey got 7th last week with Christopher Bell, got a top 10, just short of a top 5. Ends up getting 2 points for the week for finishing second. He's currently first in points with 96 points, a 3-point advantage over Tyler. So Corey will end up picking last out of for race winners. Tyler will pick second, and I will be picking first, as I picked Denny Hamlin last week, and I was talking last week about, Corey's leading DNFs. Well, now I'm tied with Corey on DNFs because Denny Hamlin's car failed him, so I got, I think like 35th or 36th or something like that. My average finish is plummeted again, 1648, not looking good over there. Only got 1 point with my Denny Hamlin pick at Martinsville, so I have 91 points, and I'm 5 points back of Corey heading in to Phoenix. All Corey needs is 4 points to lock up the championship, and the way we're doing the last week when it comes to picking, it's normal picking. I pick first, Tyler picks second, Corey picks third. Everything is going to be normal when it comes to points and everything. The only thing that is different is each of us will pick a champion for this race, and we can all pick the same guy. We can all pick different guys. It doesn't really matter, but whoever we pick, if that driver does happen to win the championship, it is 1 bonus point for the championship. So all Corey needs is 4 points this weekend to lock up the championship. No matter what Tyler does, if Corey gets 4 points, he locks up the championship. Well, actually, no, because we decided earlier, actually, if it ties, if Tyler wins, so that's another thing, that's another ripple to make into this, too. If Tyler wins and it's a tie, then Tyler has the tiebreaker. And it's the same thing with me. If I win and it's a tie, then I win the tiebreaker. So the tiebreaker is the way it works. The first tiebreaker is wins, and we all have 4 wins at the moment. The second tiebreaker is weekly wins. Corey has 15. I have 13. Tyler has 9. So if Corey ties with anybody, he would win when it comes to weekly wins. And then average finish would be the third and final way to decide the champion. And Tyler is most likely going to win average finish this year unless he finishes dead last and Corey wins this weekend. Then it might be kind of close. Tyler still probably would win. I hope Tyler doesn't have that happen, because that means he would get a DNF, and he has no DNFs on the year, and that would be very, very impressive. So once again, the order which we will pick, and we will be making our race winning pick plus our championship pick. I'll be picking first. Tyler will be picking second. Corey will be picking last, and Corey can maybe come up with some sort of strategy here, and we can pick whatever race winners we want, because we just finished our 6-pick schedule. So we can pick whoever we want to win this race as long as the person before you doesn't take them. So with all that being said, I have the first pick. and I'm going to pick my champion and my race winner to be Denny Hamlin. I have Denny Hamlin doing both. I have Denny Hamlin winning the race, winning his first career championship, winning at Phoenix this weekend, and I'll max out on 7 points. And that is my prediction. That is my pick. I pick Denny Hamlin to win the race and win the championship, the driver of the number 11 for Joe Gibbs Racing. And now I'll send it to Tyler. First, who's your pick to win the race? And then who is your pick to be the champion?
So my pick to win the race and my champion is going to fall in the same line. We're going Willie B to finish it off with the magical season.
So Willie B across the board. So mark Tyler down for doing something very similar to I did. I decided to pick Hamlin to win the race and win the championship. Tyler has decided for William Byron to win the race and win the championship this weekend. The driver of the number 24 for Hendrick Motorsports, Jeff Gordon, might pull a Carl Edwards and do a backflip. Corey, who is your pick to win the race, and who is your pick to be the champion?
So I'm gonna do something different. Strategy. I'm gonna say Larson wins the race, Byron wins the championship.
This guy stinks.
Guy's dumb.
This guy stinks. This guy sucks. He's the type of guy with a minute and a half left in Madden, he kneels out the clock. He
does because he can't.
He's laughing because he does do that. He definitely does that. No.
But if Larson
I knew that was coming.
Wins the championship.
He's covering his ass. That's what he's doing. He's making sure he gets the extra bonus point, or he takes away your bonus point.
I want to do the opposite, to be honest. I want Larson to win the championship, but
So you
I want Larson to pick. I want to do Larson for both, but I'm going to play funny and just do Byron wins the race. Or I can't do that because you've picked him, so I'll do Byron wins the championship. Yeah. But you know how I really feel.
Okay, so you heard it here first. A little bit of strategy in canceling out Tyler's bonus point right there. Kind of a dick move, I would say, from Corey, which I pointed out at the beginning. That was one of the events. That's like literally the only the one time where picking last is a good thing, and Corey's the one picking last. He was picking first almost the whole year when SVG was on the board. Damn it. Man's hit the notes at the right time. So you heard it here first. Corey, with some strategy, has decided to pick Kyle Larson to win the race, but picks a different championship 4 competitor in William Byron to win the championship, essentially covering his ass. Essentially, that's pretty much what it is. Very smart. I respect it. It might be a douchebag move, but I respect it highly. He'll have a trophy on his mantle because of it, like Dinkelberg. He's the Dinkelberg of this of the crew. He's the Dinkelberg. I would have a trophy here if I had one. That's going to be me and Tyler because of this pick. But I've decided to pick Denny Hamlin to win the race and win the championship. And Tyler has decided for William Byron to win the race and the championship. I'm surprised none of us picked Blaney to win the race, to be honest. But let me know your thoughts in the comments and in the replies. Who's your pick to win at Phoenix this weekend? And who's your pick to win the championship? Will we have a first-time champion this weekend? Or will Kyle Larson go out there and get championship number 2? Let me know in the comments and in the replies. All right, so that'll do it for this week's edition of Hit the Pacecar. Some of you may have noticed that I actually deleted a lot of my YouTube videos to kind of start off for fresh next season because of some inconsistencies here and there, some quality issues here and there. I didn't delete all my videos. I didn't delete some of the important ones, but all the Hit the Pacecar videos, if you're watching this on YouTube, got taken down. Some of them are still on my Twitter and they're in the vault, but expect something fresh next year. Starting off fresh for the most part next year. Everybody's kind of known that has watched this channel, has kind of known what's been going on with this channel over the last couple of months for sure. And We're starting off fresh next year pretty much and getting some things in order. Well, not even getting some things in order. We've pretty much gotten actually everything in order. It's just season's ending now, so no point now. But we're going hard this week. We'll be at Phoenix Raceway this weekend. Me, Corey, and Tyler will be dressed up. I might be dressed up tonight and I'll put a video out there maybe. We'll see about that. If I'm able to do something with my hair tonight, it might not happen tonight. It might be tomorrow at this point with how late it is when we're recording this. But hopefully we'll see people in Phoenix. It'll be a good time there, and hopefully we have a good weekend in Phoenix. But for now, I'm Trackside Larry. That's Corey. That's Tyler, aka the Pacecar Boys, and we'll see you next week, and we'll talk about all the champions we had this past weekend, and we'll cry about Corey Heim not winning the championship. But we'll see you next week. Bye bye.